Rick and Morty brought back an underrated tradition to save Season 7, and Season 8 must take note. While Rick and Morty Season 7 seemed to be getting pretty dark around Episode 5, the series turned its tone around with a killer comeback that Season 8 should borrow. Rick and Morty began life as an anarchic, gleefully silly series that took nothing seriously. Early episodes of the show made light of even the darkest topics, but this limited the depth of character development that the series could achieve. Among episodes of pure goofiness, later outings in Season 1 began to suggest that Rick had a dark side that wouldn't be played for laughs. Subsequent seasons doubled down on this. While Rick and Morty Season 8 may change this, Seasons 5, 6, and 7 all split their screen time between darker, canon-oriented stories and lighter, more episodic misadventures. Rick and Morty's cast of characters still faced absurd antagonists like Pissmaster and Mr. Nimbus, but they also reckoned with the show's most genuinely evil villain ever, Rick Prime. Although Rick and Morty killed off Rick Prime halfway through Season 7, this death didn't lighten the show's tone. Instead, it was the next episode's surprising format that proved Rick and Morty could still provide lighthearted, silly fun. Season 7, Episode 5, Unmortricken, was as serious as Rick and Morty gets. Opening with evil Morty's tragic backstory and ending with Rick feeling numb after beating his nemesis to death. Unmortricken proved Rick and Morty could tell an unapologetically dark story without losing its sense of humor. However, the bleak ending of the episode left viewers with no idea where the show could go next. While Rick and Morty's Season 7 finale was another dark, trippy adventure, the show needed a much lighter palate cleanser after Unmortricken. Fortunately, the next episode used a series tradition to achieve this. Season 7, Episode 6, Rick Fending Your Mort, saw Morty try and convince Rick to take part in another intergalactic adventure. His drunk, despondent grandfather wouldn't budge, leading Morty to cash in his receipts. Morty pointed out that Rick owed him an adventure, but his obstinate grandfather opted to audit these receipts and, in the process, set up a clip show. Rick and Morty's clip shows date back to Season 1, Episode 8, Ricksty Minutes, the outing that introduced viewers to interdimensional cable. This was followed by Season 2, Episode 8, Interdimensional Cable 2, Tempting Fate, and Season 3, Episode 8, Morty's Mind Blowers. What makes Rick and Morty's clip shows great is their silliness and lack of stakes, something that the series badly needed after the darkness of Unmortricken. It will be tough for Rick and Morty Season 8 to outdo that dramatic outing, which saw evil Morty team up with Rick and Morty to finally defeat Rick Prime after 2 seasons of build-up. However, as compelling as this was, the plot strayed far from the fun tone that most of the show's outings boast. Rick and Morty is primarily a comedy, which is why Rick Fending Your Mort was necessary. Whether the episode was parodying Stephen King's Pet Sematary or sending Morty and his sentient churro on an adventure, Rick Fending Your Mort was a reminder of how goofy Rick and Morty can be at its best. Season 7 needed this since, after Rick Prime's sudden death, the show had to change its tone radically. Although Season 6 and the opening half of Season 7 were filled with zanier outings, Rick Prime's shadow hung heavily over these. When Unity returned early in Season 7, it was because she was worried about Rick's obsessive search. This bled into even the lightest episodes. Notably, when Rick and Morty went on one of their silliest adventures ever in Season 6. Episode 9, A Rick in King Mortar's Mort. The next episode revealed that the outing's kinder version of Rick was just a clone. The real Rick was busy plotting his revenge on Rick Prime, a plan that made every storyline from Rick and Morty Season 6 seem darker in retrospect. With Rick Prime finally defeated, Season 7's latter half needed to bring back the looser, goofier tone of the show's earlier seasons. However, the show couldn't just jump abruptly from one tonal extreme to another. It made sense for Rick fending your Mort to pick up where Unmortricken ended, since this allowed Rick and Morty to explain its tonal shift in universe. Season 7 justified Rick's newly carefree attitude with this clip show, as Morty reminding his grandfather of their shared adventures gave Rick a reason to continue living. Rick thought that getting revenge on Rick Prime was the only thing driving him, but the relentless flashbacks to the pair's absurd antics proved that he had a meaningful life outside this quest. Thus, Season 7's lighter latter half was effectively established in Rick Fending Your Mort. While Rick Fending Your Mort wasn't the first Rick and Morty clip show that consisted of entirely new footage, Rick and Morty also isn't the first show to pull off this meta joke. Community Season 2, Episode 21, Paradigms of Human Memory, was a fake clip show where the heroes reminisce on events pulled from non-existent episodes. Although Rick and Morty Season 8 may push things even further, series co-creator Dan Harmon's earlier sitcom played with audience expectations during that audacious meta episode. Rick Fending Your Mort improved on this formula by using fake episodes to bolster Rick's real character development. While clip shows are a fun way for Rick and Morty's creators to mess with sitcom conventions, they also serve a valid purpose. The episodes make Rick and Morty's fictional universe feel more lived in, informing viewers of the many unseen adventures that happen off-screen between episodes. As such, Rick and Morty Season 8 should feature more fake clip shows since, as evidenced in Rick Fending Your Mort, they provide real character development. As Rick and Morty grows and matures beyond the Rick Prime arc, this series tradition could prove invaluable for keeping its tone light and making its world feel more immersive.